What's up, Tesla family? It's Ray J back with another video. And in this one, I want to break down what's happening with SPY, Tesla, and the broader markets. I'm also going to break down why tomorrow is going to be a very important day as we have PPI data coming up, which could cause some high volatility, not to mention other pieces of news that came out involving President Trump and the Federal Reserve. Just know that I am not a financial planner, so take nothing I'm saying as financial advice whatsoever. And also, if you guys can, please check out my Moomoo link that's down below or use my QR code right here to sign up. If you sign up for Moomoo with the link down below and deposit $100, you're going to get $20 of free Nvidia stock. If you deposit $2,000, you're going to get $50 worth of Nvidia. Deposits $10,000 to get $300 worth of the stock, or deposits $50,000 to get $1,000 of free Nvidia. You're also going to qualify for a 3.6% APY base rate plus a 4.5% APY extra for 3 months, making it a total of an 8.1% APY. The offer ends very soon, so please check out my link down below to sign up or use this QR code. Anyways, now let's talk about what's happening with the markets. So as far as Tesla's going, as you guys can tell, we're range bound right now. As Tesla touches the 380s, we like to bounce. But as we get very close to about 425, we've gotten 2 rejections on Tesla. So the question is, will Tesla come close to 425 and get a big rejection right here and turn back down? Or will Tesla be forming a double bottom and bouncing right back up towards the 430s? Well, this depends on some very important factors. We have some very important news coming out for tomorrow, which will dictate Tesla's price action. Right now, Tesla is holding up well, but I did not see Tesla hold above 420 today for confirmation. So we don't really have confirmation of a breakout yet, and we have to wait and see what happens with some data. SPY and the QQQ are attempting to go higher. They are looking a bit more in favor of bulls, but of course, we need confirmation. Can we hold above these trend lines and key EMAs on SPY and continue, or do we get the rejection? We do look a bit more bullish on SPY and the QQQ for now, but we will see if this lasts heading into tomorrow with all the inflationary data. So let's talk about Tesla news. I just want to say that the reason I talk about SPY and the QQQ is because they greatly affect Tesla. Tesla is dictated by an algorithm, and when the whole market starts pumping, Tesla oftentimes follows that trend. When the market dumps and crashes, Tesla will dump with the market as well. So we're going to see if Tesla rejects or not with the market. Let's talk about the news, then I'll break down Tesla stock. There was some news that came out as we had some news about Tesla coming out talking about how their FSD software would likely be granted in many European countries. That's what we heard from Tesla. However, unfortunately, it looks like the decision has not been confirmed yet, at least by many European countries. We're still waiting, for example, from the Netherlands, and many other traffic safety regulators. So, although we're waiting for now, I just want to say that so far FSD is continuing to expand in different countries. It's available in Australia, Canada, China, Mexico, New Zealand, Puerto Rico, and also the US, and will continue to expand. But they are still waiting for regulatory approval, and it's going to take some time for them to get there, at least in Europe. So I just want to make that confirmation, at least for now. We're not truly in Europe yet, but we are expanding for FSD. Now, on top of this, when it comes to Elon Musk, he was talking about how Tesla has a team that's designing and deploying several million AI chips in their cars and data centers, and they're going to help Tesla to be the leader in real world AI. That's great news. And once again, he's talking about the development of AI5, the AI5 chip, which is near production, and then they're going to be mass producing that and then developing AI6 next. Elon Musk was talking about this. This was some bullish news for Tesla, which is part of why we bounced. And then there was also some more good news that came out involving the price targets that came out from different analysts. And then on top of that, the whole market started bouncing as a result of the Fed. So why was the whole market in Tesla bouncing? Well, keep in mind the QQQ was also up 2.5%. That also helps Tesla pump quite a bit. And here are some things to watch for. Now, as Tesla's pumping, I just want to remind you all that this week is going to be very short. We've finished the first full trading day of the week, and we only have 2 full trading days left for the week and then half a day. In other words, on Tuesday, we have a full day of trading. On Wednesday, we have a full regular day of trading. But then on Thursday, the stock market's going to be closed for Thanksgiving. And then for Friday, the stock market's only going to be open for half a day. So only 2.5 days left of trading. Tomorrow is going to be Tuesday, November 25th. In the morning, we have the ADP employment change data. This could cause some volatility as we're expecting a loss. There was actually a bit of a loss last time, and we're not expecting the strongest of numbers from what I'm reading. But then at 8:30 a.m., we also have the PPI data. This is going to be important. PPI is going to be very similar to CPI, except on the wholesale side. Month over month, we're expecting the PPI numbers to be a little bit higher than previously, but year over year, they're expected to be quite tame. So, will the PPI data cause the market to dump, or does the PPI data help us continue to hold up? I'll be watching this very closely. We also have retail sales data coming out at the same time, alongside consumer confidence at 10 o'clock a.m., and then home sales, and then data from the Richmond Fed. So expect volatility at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time and 10 o'clock a.m. as well, and we'll see what that leads to moving forward. So keep that in mind. Now, that is what's happening in terms of data for tomorrow. We have big data for tomorrow with PPI. If PPI and the data are good and the market pumps more, this could help Tesla push for 425 and then eventually 430. But if the data is not good enough, Tesla could reject and return to 407. If we lose 407, we get back below this yellow line right here, then I think we fill the gap back down to 393 again or below. So you want to be very careful with Tesla looking at the current level. It's going to be a make or break level. On top of this, we had big news from President Trump. So I just wanted to talk about this. President Trump was on a phone call with President Xi Jinping of China. And according to the Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick, he said in an interview with Bloomberg News that President Trump is weighing in on whether to allow Nvidia to sell its advanced AI chips to China or not. The president is consulting different advisors and deciding on the potential exports and then how export restrictions will change for Nvidia's H200 AI chips. So that's some big news for Nvidia. On top of this, President Trump also mentioned that he had a very good conversation with President Xi Jinping. He said he had a very good telephone call with President Xi of China. They discussed many topics, and he also said that their deals for the farmers are just going to get better. And then he said that our relationship with China is extremely strong. He went on about that. He said that it's a follow up for their highly successful meeting in South Korea. So that's what President Trump said. This is part of why we saw Nvidia stock bouncing a bit, but then it rejected because we didn't really get any confirmation about news for their chips or any changes with China. And then there was more news that came out that's very important, according to Reuters. The Trump administration is going to be shedding about 317,000 employees this year. Its human resources chief said that's a higher figure than previously estimated. Why is this important? Well, what's important about this is that we had a Fed speaker known as Waller who came out today. He talked about how he is more concerned about the US labor market than with inflation because most private sector data shows that the jobs market is soft and it's continuing to weaken. He believes that inflation is not a big problem moving forward. It's going to be pulling back. And he thinks that there's a good chance that the Fed should cut as a result of that. He's not really too concerned about inflation. He thinks the Fed should cut. Then we had Daly, who is the Federal Reserve Bank of San Francisco president. She said the same thing. She's calling for a December interest rate cut because of the weakness in the labor market. And she thinks that it makes sense for them to cut in December. So now the market is excited. We're seeing some more optimism. I'm not saying we're squeezing to new highs or anything like that yet, but what I am saying is that we have bounced quite a bit because of this. And now there's about an 81% chance we get a cut by the Fed. There's an 81% chance of a cut. The market is more optimistic, and the bonds market's pricing in a cut by the Fed in December. That's part of why we're starting to bounce for now. And then for tomorrow, we just have NIO and Alibaba announcing their earnings, so Chinese stocks may be affected by this. So what's happening for tomorrow? The next catalyst for Tesla would be, number one, Tesla obviously has its own pieces of news that come out involving Chinese sales or anything like that. Number two, we have the PPI data coming out and some employment data in the morning, which could cause a very, very big move for the whole stock market. Now, if the data is good and if Tesla tries to bounce, I want to see as a break and hold 420 for 4 hours. If that happens, I'm looking for 425, then 427 as our potential targets. That's going to be bullish, okay? But we need to break and hold 420. If we're bearish and we lose 415, we're looking for a test of 407. If 407 fails us, I'm looking for a retest of this trend line. If not, this gap will back down to 393. So there is a chance of rejection. I am concerned about Tesla because every time we've touched near 425, we've gotten rejection on Tesla. And then we're going to see if we get a rejection as well. Will we see Tesla turn back down if we fill at 415? It's possible. I don't really want to be too confident though, as it depends on the data. So we will see. So far, we've struggled to hold 420. So there is a risk of it rejecting back down to 407. But of course, we need to wait and see what the data gives us just to be safe. So in case Tesla loses 415, be prepared, guys. Be very, very unbiased heading into tomorrow. Don't believe the market will just, or pump like crazy or dump like crazy. Instead, tell yourselves that we don't know what's going to happen. We have to wait on the data, and then we're going to be very unbiased and follow the price action. That's the best thing I can really tell you about this. We did call the upside move already, so sometimes we could make very, very confident calls, but sometimes you have to kind of like take a step back and be very patient. All right, so yes, we said Tesla would pump, SPY would pump, the QQQ would pump in my video yesterday. That's what happened. Now that the move has been complete, now we're going to wait and see what's going to happen next because it depends on this data. All right, so for now, I am concerned that Tesla's struggling to hold above 420. So there is a risk of Tesla turning back down here, especially since we got lots of rejections near 425. So we'll see just to be safe if Tesla gets a rejection. But it depends on the data, and we'll see how it goes. On the SPY chart, we're testing this resistance. If we could hold above 670, I'm looking for 675. But if we reject, we're going to be looking for support at 664. So break 670, we're bullish, looking for this high to be retested. If we lose 664, though, we could be dipping back down. We're going to see if we lose 664 and get a rejection to turn back down on SPY or not. So watch this very, very closely. On the QQQ, we're making lower highs as well. If we're bullish, you could be looking for an attempt to push back up towards this 610 to 612 area to push more. But if we end up losing 599, we could be dumping back down towards this 594 area. We're at resistance, so we're either going to pump or dump here. This could be a make or break level for the triple Q. So watch this very closely heading into tomorrow as we have big data coming out, and we'll see if we get a rejection. On the IWM, we have resistance right here around this 240 area. If that breaks, we're going to be going even higher. But if we end up losing 237, we're looking for a dip back down to 236, and we'll see if that ends up turning back down. So we're making lower highs right here, and we may continue to fall. But we're going to see if we could hold 240 or not. If we don't, there could be a rejection. So I do want to give you guys a warning about this with the data coming out. You never know, though. On ES, we could go a tiny bit higher and retest 6750. We're practically there already. And then we're going to see if we break this to continue to push for 6780, or if we get the rejection off this trend line and turn right back down. It could go either way, so be very unbiased. We're approaching some tough resistance. Same thing with NQ. We're approaching the trend line. Are we about to reject here? We got 1, 2, 3 rejections before off this trend line. Do we turn back down here? Do we just keep on rallying? If we hold above 25,128, we're bullish. We're going to be looking for a breakout. But if we come short and we reject near 25,000, we could turn back down to 24,600. So be careful at this resistance. There is a risk of rejection. On Bitcoin, I need to see us get back above 89,136. If not, we could be looking for 87,000. So be careful. And like I said about Tesla, it's going to follow the market. Either we pump or dump. If 420 fails us, though, there is going to be a risk of 415. If that fails us, there is a risk of 407. So the odds do favor rejection, but we will see just to be safe depending on the data. Of course, be unbiased. Another reason why the market could reject is because of Nvidia. We pumped, rejected, pumped, rejected, pumped, rejected every single time. And we tried to pump again and we rejected because we didn't really get much news from President Trump involving a deal with China, and that would allow them to sell more chips over there. So we're just going to have to wait and see what happens. In case Nvidia gets a rejection, sorry about that. If we break 183, we're bullish, but if we lose 178, we could turn back down. So far, Nvidia is favoring downside. It keeps rejecting, so I'm not really seeing a nice break. It's also falling in the after hours, so be careful. Apple's at resistance at 275. We need to break this to continue. If we don't, we could turn back down to 272. Now, I'm going to go on a speed run for the rest of these, just to make this video more concise. Netflix is making lower highs right now. We need to get back above 107. If we don't, we could be tipping back down to 104. MSTR needs to break past 184. If it doesn't, it could kind of push and then dip back down to 168. Celsius is on a downtrend. It's actually favoring 37.5 in the low 35s. Supermicro is looking a bit more bullish. If we could break 33.6, though, it could be going higher. So I want to see us break that to go to 35. If we don't, we could reject. So far, it does have some upside potential. Palantir is at resistance. See the green line rejects here a lot. We need to hold above 163 to be bullish. If we don't hold that tomorrow for 4 hours, expect this to dip back down to 157. Rivian looks more bullish though. It's outperforming the market. We have a slight bullish divergence. We need to hold above 15.06. If this holds, we're looking for a bounce to 15.4. It needs to hold for confirmation, of course. SoFi, I mean, we're trying to break out right here. There is some tough resistance near 28. We need to break that to push closer to 30. If not, we could reject, but so far there's upside potential. AMD is on a downtrend. We need to hold above 218. If we don't, we could be dipping back down to 205. So we'll see how it goes. ARM has resistance at 135. If that breaks, we're looking for essentially 137.5. But if we don't break this, we could reject. Watch this resistance at 135. I think we push a little bit, and we'll see if we reject there. There is a risk of that. PayPal has kind of like an inverse head and shoulders, but we need to hold above 60. As long as 60 holds, we could be looking for some consolidation and a push back up to 62. Coinbase needs to hold above 255. As long as this holds, we're looking for an attempt for basically 263. Amazon, as long as we don't lose 225, we're going to be favoring consolidation and a push back up to 228. Meta is favoring some upside. As long as we're above 613.96, we're going to be favoring a push back up to 618. Google's favoring some upside, looking for 325. I think we got some good news that just came out in the after hours. I think they just reached a record close, and then we also had some good news that came out. So it looks like it's going to be pushing for 330. It looks very strong right now. So expect a bit more upside on Google. Microsoft has a double bottom. However, it's not doing that great. We have to break 482 to be bullish. Otherwise, it's going to consolidate for now, and it could be retesting 470. Oracle is consolidating. We're going to see if it bounces back up to 205. Otherwise, it's technically on a downtrend. On DJT, we have to see us break 10.6. If that breaks, we're looking for 10.8. If not, we could reject. On the VIX, we're getting a rejection right here, so we could be dipping back down towards 20. But are we about to bounce near 20? That's the thing. We're near the support, so it could kind of dip here, then bounce. So we'll see how it goes. The 10-year is dipping as well, so we'll see what happens. The dollar is technically consolidating. We're going to see if we bounce or not, as we have a nice looking accumulation. And then crude is kind of flat. It's not doing a whole lot as always. It's just kind of consolidating as well. So honestly, guys, SPY and the QQQ are attempting to break out right now, but there's no confirmation until we get our data. Tesla has been trying to push, but the problem is that I did not see Tesla do a good job at holding above 420 yet, which makes me suspect that downside's a bit more probable for tomorrow. It might come back down with the data, but I don't know for sure. We will see what the data looks like tomorrow before market opens, so get ready for my video then. And please enjoy the rest of your guys' days, nights, or evenings, wherever you guys are around the world. I just want to say that we have to be very, very patient with this. We're going to see how Tesla responds. I know that every day, a lot of people want me to make predictions every day, and I do that the large majority of the time. And I do predict the most likely possibilities the market does kind of like come down with this data, but I honestly don't know for sure, because I'm not really betting as much on that because I'm not as confident. It depends on data. And sometimes when the market is so data dependent, you have to be very patient and kind of wait and see how things pan out. Of course, we called the pump that came today. We said Tesla would likely pump for Monday. In my video from yesterday, I said that about SPY and the QQQ, and the move happened. Now that the move is done, we have to wait and see what the next move is going to be because it depends on data. So with that being said, let's see if Tesla could hold 420 tomorrow. If it doesn't, I do think Tesla could be coming down. And the overall market, whatever news comes out, could also greatly affect Tesla. So keep that in mind. And with that being said, as always, I wish you all the best. Please enjoy the rest of your guys' days, nights, or evenings. And I'll be back tomorrow before market open. Thank you for listening, and peace out.